take over the game, in the later stages.
Yeah, and from Navi's perspective, you actually must be really happy about your grand control lineup by going even greedier on the control spectrum, and that could spell trouble for him today. His control or anti-control lineup. Now, what's really interesting so far is that NaviOOT's Rogue's been banned. Kind of no surprises there, as it is one of the more aggressive decks. But DDaHyoNi's Warlock's been banned, and instead the Mill Rogue has been left up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Navi might not be, as big of a believer in DDaHyoNi's Rogue deck as DDaHyoNi is. It is a deck we've seen falter a little bit in some of the more aggressive matchups. And, it's something that Navi might feel is just not quite refined enough to beat a deck that's even a good matchup like Control Warlock. So, I'm more surprised by DDaHyoNi's ban there. I think the aggro Druid would have been the more obvious ban for him. I think it's a deck that's been performing incredibly well for Navi, and it's a deck that is a lot harder for Control deck to cope with compared to something like a Tempo Rogue deck, right?
Have an identity in games and just kind of fumbled away into a win, and usually that's not enough even in good matchups.
Yeah, it looks like we're jumping straight into the game here, and Navi is going to be dropping a Glock Crawler on an empty board. So it's going to be the Raza Priest versus the Control Paladin. This is Raza Priest actually is one of those decks that, while it can play more of a value-centric game, that combo finish is really what you're looking for, against the Control decks. That's really what lets it go over the top of almost any defensive strategy. So it'll be interesting to see how this kind of new age Control Paladin from DDaHyoNi can cope with, what was perceived as the best deck in Standard before Kobolds.
And one of the things that will give Navi a slight edge in this matchup, DDaHyoNi a slight edge in this matchup compared to traditional percentages, is that the way he's built it is the new dragon mold, where you capitalize on some of the new dragons in the set, such as Duskbreaker. The advantage of this is it gives you a stronger mid-game with more minions on the board. The downside is there is a less cycle, and we've already seen in a couple of games from Navi today, wasn't able to hit the Raza combined with the Anduin combo, and that can really hurt in matchups like this where you are looking for that combo to finish it out.
Absolutely. I do think that Navi's tech choice here to go towards the Dragon package is going to hurt him against DDaHyoNi's lineup. DDaHyoNi is just a lot less likely to face that Raza Anduin combo, and without that combo, DDaHyoNi basically can't lose. So the big macro deciding factor on who wins this matchup is just going to be how soon can Navi draw Raza plus Anduin.
And a really big turn here from DDaHyoNi. He was able to hit the Dirty Rat off the Stonehill Defender. He's going to play it out here before Navi has the opportunity to play Raza. But if you've been watching Navi's game so far, he can't find a Raza to save himself, so he was never going to have it on 5.
Well, he's been doing pretty well despite that, and I think he'll be more than happy to pull out a pretty solid statted minion there. There's a world where Twilight Drake got pulled, and that would have been
really painful.
That would have been painful, but this is not too bad at all. So. Easy polymorph. There's some card draw that Navi was missing. It gets him 2 cards deeper towards the combo. It's a very big deal.
That dragon reduced to a whimper thanks to Eldor Peacekeeper 1-5, and DDaHyoNi, I'm sure, will hope to get the 2 coins off it and use them to his advantage at some point sooner rather than later.
Yep. Navi's going to be just developing a Twilight Drake. No reason to Dragonfire just yet. And, just some solid mid-sized minions coming out of Navi. We'll see if the Valenier here can put DDaHyoNi in a good spot.
He does have a choice, because he could choose to play the Spike Ridge Steed here as well, given that he already has targets on the board. But developing that Valenier as soon as possible, make sure you get the most value out of it. Is there a reason why Valenier attracted you initially?
I want to kill his Twilight Drake before he can heal it up and buff it more. Both plays are honestly good. It's possible that Spike Ridge Steed is just too hard to play later, so you want to do it now. I can definitely see that being the case. It also kind of baits out a Shadow Word Death early on, so that maybe your Ragnaros lives later on, or the Tyrion that you'll pull from your Silver Vanguard. But we'll see if Navi can find maybe a Silence. I don't remember if he plays one or not.
He does not play a Silence. I think, once again, the downside of running this Dragon package is that you do have to remove some of those tech cards that would help you have cycled originally, such as, Silences. So it's not in the deck, and we have seen him get into a couple of tricky positions today where he's faced big boards that he can't remove easily.
Did Navi mean to play a Cobalt there? He looked a little distraught after playing Power Word Shield. The Cobalt Scalebane looked like the obvious play. And then he played Power Word Shield and kind of... He might have miscounted his mana there, I'm not sure. But either way, he's going to take his time here on the decision just to make it less obvious what's in his hand. I think he's deciding whether to attack or not right now because he's playing that Talon Priest no matter what.
I mean, yeah, okay. So Talon Priest comes down as you called and choosing not to attack. They're leaving it on 13 life. Really hard for a Paladin to deal with unless you have an equality.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible he just didn't want to play Scalebane too. I mean, you know, it is a 5/5 minion, so it would die fairly easily to the Aldar Peacekeeper attack, and you know, the large Twilight Drake could get neutralized by something like a second Aldor. So
another tricky turn for Navi coming up here because, I mean, he's really got no clean way to deal with this board.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. Looks like he's going to go for the Spirit Lash because he's got to get rid of the front half of this this Aldor. And yeah, he's doesn't have a lot of incentive to kill this 7-mana minion just yet because that's...
I mean, DDaHyoNi will do that for him.
Yeah. So far, this is going very well for DDaHyoNi because... mostly because Navi doesn't have a single combo piece yet. It's just a very, very big deal.
And there's the Lich King combined with the board clear, and now Navi's in an awful spot. No Shadow Reaper Anduin, no Power Word Death. Sorry, Shadow Word Death, so...
Yeah, it's one of the absolute best minions he could have pulled. Probably just the best. So if you're DDaHyoNi, you're very happy here. Ooh, okay, well, right on time. Navi did need that.
Really needed an answer
deal with the Lich King, and it gets him half of his combo. It was the best draw Navi had in his deck. So all of a sudden, it's anybody's game. And now it's just on DDaHyoNi to close the game out before Navi can draw this Raza.
And that weapon being in play really is one of those keys that will help him get there, because the fact that it just keeps regenerating itself and keeps going face is so strong in a matchup like this, which is going to go so long.
Yeah, it's just so much pressure. It's crazy.
And he's seen NaviOOT already struggle to deal with one minion with high attack, so why not put down the second now and force him to have the only other answer in the deck?
Right, yeah. Will he get the Shadow Word Death? Will he get the Psychic Scream? The heal going on that Stegodon's a big deal.
Oh, wow. Runner. And Navi knows it as well. What a great draw.
Yep. Well, that's how you make finals.
The upside for DDaHyoNi, though, is that weapon will come straight back to him, and he'll be able to start putting more pressure back on Navi. So, I mean, while losing the Light Lord is obviously not what you'd like, the downside is pretty low as a result of that weapon buff hitting it.
Absolutely. He's going to be more than happy to Shadow Word Death here, and now Navi's just going to start whittling away at DDaHyoNi's life total. He knows that Ragnaros is gone, so that's some of the biggest healing that DDaHyoNi might have had in his deck. So with that out of the way, pressuring DDaHyoNi's life total is pretty relevant, even right now.
Steal a minion. Can you hit Raza? No, he hits the Operative. Has he got anything that he can combo that with?
No, I think it's just going to be a pit fighter this game. Oh, he might just drop Sunkeeper now for the pressure. Navi does have the answer here, but this is still a good amount of damage. I think DDaHyoNi's going to get a weapon swing here as well. That Valenier just gives the deck so much more pressure against this deck. I mean, like, back in the day when you were playing Control Paladin against a deck like Raza Priest, you had no chance because it was so easy for Raza Priest to deal with a couple minions you did, like, produce. And because of that, you just never had, like, damage output. But as soon as you drop Valenier, I mean, that's 4 damage a turn. It's not really stopping.
Yep. It really does seem like one of the cards that will allow Control Paladin to be a thing, just because it does give them that extra damage output they were really lacking before.
Absolutely. So if you're DDaHyoNi here, you really got to decide just how far in on the board do you want to go with the second Sunkeeper. He's considering just dropping it now. It would help him get through the Primordial Drake and push some damage. Vanessa is definitely tempting as well. I mean, there's a world of options here for DDaHyoNi right now.
Yeah, with both Spike Ridge already being cast, it's a lot of value that it would get.
I like this play a lot.
Ooh,
he's
cool.
Yeah, he's playing quality. Ooh, that Doomsayer. That's so unlucky. That is the one minion DDaHyoNi didn't want to buff. Because now in order to get his weapon back, he has to blow up his own board and basically give Navi pressure again. So he just lost the best thing he had going for him, which is the weapon. Because right now, it's probably just better to develop a minion. You've already seen Anduin, you've seen Shadow Word Death. You'd rather just develop big dudes rather than try to get Valenier back right now.
With that said, he's set up lethal on the board.
He... Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, that Dragon Operative will help against his Dragonfire Potion, clearing his board. There is the Duskbreaker plus some hero powers for Navi, though. That'll help him deal with the board anyway. And he does have a lot of extra life to play with because of this greater healing potion. So honestly, it's a very good position for Navi, mostly because of that Valinor outcome right there. The fact that that hits Doomsayer is such a big deal.
It really is, because any other minion that it would have hit, he would have played that minion. That would have been the minion for the turn that he would have lent into, just so he could keep going with the weapon going.
Absolutely.
But Navi's going to take the turn to stabilize a little bit, and the fact that the weapon isn't coming back does really hurt him, as you called out.
And so DDaHyoNi's going to go ahead and drop Linessa. I think he's aware that Navi just doesn't have room for silences in his deck at this point. And we'll see if this massive taunt minion will be enough to put him back in the game here.
Yep. Without Raza in Navi's hand, DDaHyoNi's going to beat him in a race at this point, so Navi has to still keep answering the board, and there's no good way for him to do it at the moment.
Right. I mean, he can get out 8 damage with his Velen, but, you know, nothing's going to deal without Linessa. It's just a question of, like, do you want to drop Velen and go, like, Smite Hero Power 3/3? Would you rather just, I mean, Dragonfire is not very useful against Operative, so there's not too many great options here.
So looking at Navi's hand then and the board, he's facing down 13, which leaves him 3 life next turn. DDaHyoNi would only be able to answer that with effectively double conk. I think it's the only burst he has in his deck. So for Navi, does it make sense just to Velen, Hero Power, Holy Smite?
To the face?
Yeah, just all go to the dome and try and set up a lethal next turn.
I mean, that's going to be, 8 damage. I mean, it's not really lethal next turn, right? I mean, he doesn't...
It at least threatens DDaHyoNi and forces him to trade into Velen and, like, do something differently.
Possibly, yeah. But then I think then Navi would die to like a true silver champion or something like that, or even a consecration. I think would be lethal.
He's 3 life left, so it'd have to be consecration, double conk or a true silver.
Ooh, okay. So that's gonna get back a Vanguard and a. Is that it?
I think just the Vanguard, yeah, because the Tyrion hasn't been played this game, and that's the only other Death Rattle in the deck.
Might still be a worthwhile play for DDaHyoNi here. Has he drawn both Doomsayers? Kaltarm's going to pull a Doomsayer out.
Pulls double Pyro.
Okay.
But this does set up a Dragonfire potion for Navi.
Absolutely. I'm very surprised to see this line of play here from DDaHyoNi. I think that N'Zoth would have been a board that Navi just could not deal with.
Mm-hmm. Because any AoE would then pull the Tyrion out of the deck.
Right. Yeah.
Combined with the Steeds coming out of the Linessa.
This is a very pivotal turn here. I mean, the fact that DDaHyoNi just played Call to Arms is like the difference between winning the game almost guaranteed and being in a position like this where Dragonfire removes almost all the pressure he has.
Lyra is no good here for Navi.
Well, you got to be happy to see that if you're Navi. You get to Dragonfire most of the board, but there's still a ton of pressure you're facing down, and just with cards in hand right now, DDaHyoNi's going to be able to put Navi down to 1 next turn.
Darkness speaks to me.
So Dragonfire has to be played at some point this turn.
Right. Yeah, I think Navi at this point is just deciding, do I want a Hero Power face a little bit on top of that and deal 4 to my opponent? Do I want to just, like, develop an Akanai? I think if he were to deal 4 to the face and put DDaHyoNi down to 14, would that put him in range of... Nah.
It's just without Raza, there's no way of bursting it much. And no Mind Blast in this deck is something worth noting as well, because that would be a way of, if you put him down to 14, for example, then Valen, Mind Blast might get you there.
So Navi's going to go ahead and go through Linessa the hard way. That is not a minion I expected to see die this game.
So we've got Tarim, Consecrate, and that'll just be game.
That'll do it. Well, wow, really well played by DDaHyoNi, honestly. This is such a hard matchup, and really it just came down to Navi not drawing the combo on time. But you got to be really happy for DDaHyoNi here. That is one of the hardest decks in Navi's lineup to beat with what you have, and to be able to just eke out a win there is incredible.
Yeah, that's the 3rd time today we've seen Navi play the deck, and the 3rd time he's been
spicy.
A little bit more competitive as a result.
That depends entirely on how high you're rolling that day.
All right, so Navi's now queuing up the Warlock against the Big Mage. Can you tell us a little bit about this matchup? Because it's not one I'm too familiar with.
It's a very tough one to gauge. I mean, the traditional mage control decks before Kobolds, the ones that played a lot of Burn, Alexstrasza, Pyroblast, they actually had a pretty solid Warlock matchup in general, just because Warlock didn't have the healing tools to keep up with them. But a lot's changed. First of all, the Warlock gained a lot of healing, so just the burn strategy is not as effective as it used to be because of the new Warlock Spellstones. And at the same time, the Mage decks changed completely because you're no longer trying to get chip damage in with Mana Worms and Arcanologist, but now you're playing these like big, heavy removal tools, the Meteors, Flame Strikes of the world. You have Medivh as your main anti-control threat as usual, but you're really more trying to attrition your opponent out with Jaina, or just blow them out with Dragon Caller and hope that they don't have the Twisting the Other Day answer. So it's a matchup that can go in a lot of different ways until we see it play out more. It's really hard to say which way it goes, but my instinct is that Warlock is better at developing big minions and has a little bit more inevitability with, I guess, like the pressure it can put on. It's easier for Warlock to put pressure on, whereas Mage is like more reactive cards. But
yeah, to me it feels like all things equal, Na'Vi probably has the edge in this matchup. It may come down to how well each of them space their threats, and then what Medivh pulls, and at what point in the game.
Right.
Because that feels like the one opportunity DDaHyoNi has to maybe develop minions that Na'Vi can't answer, and outside of that, the game is fairly linear.
Yep, DDaHyoNi's playing a solid tempo Doomsayer here. Very good because Navi's on a full hand, so he's going to have to throw a card away here. Probably just the Mortal Coil. But yeah, this is it's going to be very interesting. I think the most pivotal card in DDaHyoNi's deck is actually Jaina, because if he can develop that on 9 and start getting value out of it immediately, it's just a world of difference compared to drawing it like when you're almost in fatigue already. So if DDaHyoNi can develop that and just not die on the swing back, he'll be in a great position for the entire game.
An interesting choice by there to throw away the coin rather than the coil.
I think we have only one Twisting Nether in Navi's deck, so if he doesn't have that exactly when Dragon Caller is played, he might get quite punished. But Dragon Caller isn't a card that you can just play on 9 and have it kill your opponent. You actually have to put some work in. You got to play all the spells leading up to it to make it a worthwhile play. So
right. So the card itself summons a 5/5 dragon for each spell you've played this game that costs more than 5. Is that?
I think so. Yeah. Every big spell. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Ooh,
is that a
shifting scroll?
Could be anything, even a shifting scroll.
I think I like that though. The Glacial Mysteries holds no value. The Spellbender could be useful, especially with cards like Bane of Doom and Siphon Soul.
Oh yeah, it does hard counter Bane of Doom.
But there are things like Mortal Coil that you can. Dark Pack actually it would. Oh, I wonder.
Dark Pack.
Yeah, if you Dark Pack your minion, does it then sack the Spellbender? It would, right?
It depends on how Dark Pact is worded. I think so. I think it's how it works.
Yeah. That's kind of pretty cool. If you basically sacks his secret to heal you.
I think if you're DDaHyoNi here, you're trying to basically save your polymorphs for the Void Lords. You want to make sure that you get like the big demons out of the way and just make sure that Gul'dan resurrection isn't nearly as dangerous.
Oh, very true. And the Meteor, very good at handling those big health minions in the meantime.
Yep, DDaHyoNi even has enough mana here to hero power the Despicable Dreadlord down, get it in Flame Strike range.
Awkward turn for Na'Vi now.
Well, we got both the Void Lords. I don't think Na'Vi plays the...
he doesn't play Okak, yeah. So out of all the Warlock lists we've seen in the tournament so far, Na'Vi's is the least greedy / most geared towards fighting the aggro matchups, which is why it has things like Bane of Doom and Stonehill Defender rather than the Okart, for example, and Rin.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he plays more big demons than anyone, depending on how good at Bane of Dooming he is.
Yeah, and how good the defenders were, and we saw how that played out last game against Eloise.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so a Void Lord hits the board, and that says to DDaHyoNi that, hey, Polymorph, this could work.
Yeah, I think we are going to see that Polymorph. DDaHyoNi's just going to check what spell he gets in addition to that.
Cabalist's Tome.
Okay. Pretty good if you're playing a value game. Can't complain about that.
And that's where we're heading at this point in time, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, DDaHyoNi will overdraw if he plays Cabalist's Tome here, so he can't quite get it out, which has got to be frustrating if you're DDaHyoNi. You can just take the risk. Maybe you get a 1-mana spell off of it. Maybe you just don't burn your Jaina. You definitely set yourself very far behind on mana by waiting. So this is why he's going to take his time and really, make sure that he picks the right decision. There we go. DDaHyoNi opts to avoid the Reddit highlight. Wants to naturally draw his Jaina. I think he's considering just valeting face here to empty his hand a little bit so he can actually get these this tome out.
Oh, I mean,
It's not a bad
I
play.
don't like holding on the 6 damage though, because that answers a lot of the stuff from Navi next turn.
That's true. I mean, I think DDaHyoNi expects to use an AoE spell in addition to the 3 damage to kind of finish some things off. And he already has Dragon Fury. It's easy for him to have enough removal. Right now he just wants pressure, I think. But yeah, we have Voidlord coming down again.
Needs to dodge a second polymorph here.
Ooh, that is an excellent pickup for DDaHyoNi. That is the #1 card he's looking for in this matchup. And, you know, he didn't get it on 8, but he got it long before the game is over. So he's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, he's still at a point where he's ahead on board and developing Medivh. And whenever that happens, and you're playing the slower, greediest deck with heavy spells, you've got to be pretty happy.
Absolutely, yeah. The Voidlord is just showing how powerful it is here.
The Spellbender.
Yeah, doing a bit of
Navi
work.
picks it. Really well done there. Siphon Soul coming down for the Medivh. That is the only Siphon Soul in the deck, so DDaHyoNi knows that anything he develops now that's large won't be threatened by the Void Lord. And DDaHyoNi with a great draw, he gets the second polymorph. He's going to be able to deny both Void Lords for the Blood Rave of Gul'dan, which is so important.
Absolutely, as a phenomenal pickup for DDaHyoNi here. He is going to be getting slightly smaller minions off this Atiosh than he would like. Ooh.
That's a useful combo in this matchup.
That's what we call a Reynad Tome right there.
I mean, the Frostnova Shadow actually works in this matchup, and it can slowly control matchup. It's not ideal.
Okay. Yeah, the Frostnova Shatter's fine. Yeah, the Mirror Entity's a little,
Yeah.
that one hurts. But yeah, not too bad, all things considered. I think there's a pretty clean defile here with the Kobold, if Navi wants to go that route. You can also go with the Enforcer plus Stonehill. Okay, it's a solid play too. A little risky. You're leaving a 4-attack minion up.
Rin.
There we go.
That's useful.
Yeah, Stonehill has increased in value quite a bit for Warlock in the recent expansion. A couple very powerful class taunt minions being added.
Yeah, even last expansion it started to get better as well with the elemental taunts that they put into it as well.
Yeah, the Tar Lurkers and everything.
So, do we actually foresee Rin being playable this game? Will he ever get the seals out?
Honestly, yes. I mean, it's possible.
It's a big call. We've seen it struggle in so many games to not develop until basically the end.
Right. I mean, the thing is, right now, DDaHyoNi doesn't really have pressure. He doesn't have Jaina, which is the one threat he was really wanting in addition to Medivh. He, oh, this is a very heads-up play,
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. So DDaHyoNi's recognizing, I have, 7 points of burn available between 2 Frostbolts and a hero power. Let's pressure Navi's life total. Because he feels like if I just try to kill my opponent's stuff with all these reactive cards, I'm just going to lose to a Gul'dan. So it's a very cool play, very aggressive, but I think it's the right line to take in a matchup like this. And it's not the first time we've seen this from DDaHyoNi. He really knows when to turn the heat up and play his deck more aggressively.
The good thing from Navi's perspective is that he knows there's not a lot of burn from DDaHyoNi that can go to the face. So there's certain totals that as long as he's on, he's fine. The thing that would worry him, of course, is the Kabbalist Tome, because there's 2 cards that he hasn't seen out of it yet, and something like a Pyroblast could just end the game. But I don't think you can play around that in this situation.
Yeah, it really depends on how ahead he feels, but yeah, Navi's just going to go ahead and drop the Gul'dan. I think he's resing Despicable Dreadlord, which will kill the 4-1. And there is even a Voidwalker to protect his life total a little bit here. Definitely can't complain about that. That is a pretty good Gul'dan.
Now, DDaHyoNi's deck does run the Dragon Fury, which you could see in hand, and we expect that to come out this turn, but things like Flame Strike as well to answer this board. So there are a lot of tools that he would have to answer here, and unfortunately, he doesn't really have that much, because the Fury can roll low. We've seen that with the double Frostbolt, double Primordial Glyph, there are cards that he can hit that aren't good, although he has drawn 3 of those 4 already. Still things like Arcane Intellect are there in there as well. Both the other secret's gone. It should actually hit 5 or more most of the time here.
I think he has the secret he has in play is Ice Block, right? So he has So he has both blocks. He has both Frostbolts. He has I think there might be one more Intellect, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, he's going to play the Tempo Frostnova. It's actually the second time we've seen this out of DDaHyoNi. And Let's see how it works out for him this time. He's being careful not to play the mirror image because it's very likely the board gets cleared soon, and it also makes him more vulnerable to Defile, which he doesn't want to play into.
So Navi's going to clear the board here.
Yep, Navi's going to...
And realizing that there's a very, very low chance that Abyssal Enforcer makes it another turn, he's going to use it now to sack for life, which is a pretty heads-up play, to be honest.
Absolutely, yeah. He's recognizing the one way to lose this game is just getting burned out. DDaHyoNi's playing very aggressively. Let's take a step back, slow this down a bit, gain some life. Makes a lot of sense. You know, between the Rin and the Gul'dan going, Navi definitely is in a position with inevitability. And this is a common situation in this matchup, right? Like, the Warlock deck is basically always going to win the resource game. So as the mage, you have to kind of turn the heat up and go face the right time.
But now DDaHyoNi is in a bit of an awkward position because he did spend 2 or 3 turns there pressuring Navi going face. And it feels like he's getting quite low on resources now and still with a board of minions that he's facing down.
Absolutely. DDaHyoNi's just going to go ahead and Blizzard for a turn, set up this Dragon Fury for next turn.
Ooh, I'm not sure I like that. Navi could have killed his own Rin and then played the first seal and started doing that. Because these turns, he's not really doing much else.
Yeah, that's true. I do agree with you. I think that would have been a much better play. And Dragon Fury is going to come down. And now it's the game of seals for Navi, which I think is going to be better than jamming hero powers. Wow, he wants the hero power instead of double seal? Interesting. I mean, it is 4 clean hero powers away from a victory, so I respect that. There is still a Jaina to think about.
Ooh.
Okay. Mirror image gonna do something finally. Block a 2/2 a little bit. That might come up.
There's actually no great way for Navi to answer this now. He's in a pretty tricky situation now.
Well, he's about to... I mean, he's about to kill mirror images and have 2 Void Lords. He's fine. Do this.
Ooh. Interesting draw there.
Yeah, Illidan's not too shabby most of the time. How does that work with Defile?
Ooh, I think...
It's got to be fun.
Oh, this is really tricky because, I mean, there's no way he can expect one of these taunts to, like, just a single taunt to live, surely.
Yeah, you got to be still worried about another Flame Strike or something like that. I think weaving a hero power in is just a lot safer. You kind of guarantee you're getting some life. You're still developing a pretty robust taunt, so... I mean, still, DDaHyoNi has an actual chance to get a very relevant amount of damage in, which is just impressive that that's still a line of play for him, you know, after Navi's gained like 12 life.
So these Fireland portals not only are putting more pressure on Navi, both with the life total and minion presence on board, but they're also buffing up the Dragon Caller in DDaHyoNi's hand. He's going to have a full board, I think, when it eventually gets played, because there's a lot of 5-cost spells that have been put out at this point in the game.
Right, DDaHyoNi's even considering Frostbolting this 7/5 just to protect Alexstrasza, but...
Well, I mean, it doesn't really, because the hero power, but it would protect the 4/4.
I mean, it protects one of his minions, basically.
Yeah.
Like, Illidan's going to trade into something. I don't know, it's tough. Like, if you leave everything up, you get popped, right? You go, like, twisting Nether, pop your ice block. It's probably not a situation you want to be in after losing your Alexstrasza.
Yeah. So the Frostbolt, I mean, the other option is just to ping. This is a greedier line. Oh, this still pops, though, as well, right?
Right, yeah. So he's opted to get popped, which is fine. Yeah.
Is it fine? I don't know if it is.
Well, I mean, honestly, it was such a bad situation either way for DDaHyoNi that he's just opting for the more aggressive line.
To be honest, I reckon Navi's probably on tunnel vision, though. That's, like, I don't know if he'd spot that. Even...
Yeah, it's super basic math. I would be surprised if he missed it here.
But it's just the type of thing that it's not that he's just not looking for lethal at that point. He just doesn't expect it to be up.
Right.
So it's not that he can't do the math, it's just that he might not have considered it. But no, sure, he has.
There we go.
Disregard me.
Yeah, he could have played one more minion there, basically without losing any life, because it would have upgraded the Spellstone one more time. He doesn't want to play the Kobolds because this might actually come down to a fatigue game, and he just doesn't want to be closer to losing that way.
Yeah, I think DDaHyoNi's only got 3 cards left at this point. now that the Frostlich Jaina has been drawn. So DDaHyoNi is actually really close to that fatigue, and the Ice Block has to be played now. Ooh, that's a decent draw as long as it gets a hit in. Get some lifesteal.
Yeah, so Navi can sequence this in a way where he basically kills the Bloodworm before he pops the Ice Block, so it'll effectively gain no life. But yeah, this is a interesting situation. Jaina finally being drawn for DDaHyoNi, but just not soon enough. I really think that was the pivotal card that he needed early on. Like, either you slam Medivh on turn 8 and put on enough pressure to burn them out, or you play Jaina on 9 as soon as possible. And then all this...
What?
AoE that you're playing. Yeah, that's not...
That's confusing. Because now DDaHyoNi's going to go up to at least 10 next turn.
Thinking of Twisting Nethering?
So the problem with Twisting Nether is the Jaina still takes him up to 7, and...
Wait, this is...
Oh, what? Okay, so he can Defile and then Bane of Doom.
It's a big blunder here from Navi. I think he noticed it. I think now he has to...
Wait, if he Defiles and then Banes of Doom, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well...
I don't think it does.
It does. Like, you needed to keep Illidan around, right? You needed
No,
the
but you
pressure.
do. If you Defile now, you keep Illidan around. So you Defile then Bane of Doom, the Illidan stays on the board.
Alright, so Navi did give DDaHyoNi 6 more life than he otherwise would have had, but he still is going to win the game through a Jaina, so...
Not necessarily. What AoE is left in the
Dragon
deck?
Fury is a big pickup, I think.
So DDaHyoNi's only got 2 cards left, so he should know exactly...
How many Meteors has he played?
I think 1 so far. He hasn't played Flame Strike yet, so that's left in the deck.
He played a Flame Strike.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
So he's got 1 Meteor, maybe 1 AI?
I think he has Meteor. Yeah, there we go. Wow, this is crazy. DDaHyoNi might somehow be into this, because Navi doesn't really have minion pressure to put on, aside from a Seal.
So Seal, Hero Power, and then Homunculus. There's 2 cards left for DDaHyoNi. We know one of them's Meteor. Is he dumping the Frostbolt here? No, okay.
Wow, this game got interesting all of a sudden. If Navi can't draw a threat here...
That's pretty useful, especially with the Homunculus to power it up, as well as the Kobolds.
Wow.
I'm almost out of cards.
Oh my god, I think DDaHyoNi...
No. Navi should be able to choke him out of resources regardless, right? Because you can never let... You can... Ooh.
It's more about cards in deck at this point, right? Like, how many...
DDaHyoNi's got 1 left.
DDaHyoNi's got 1, and Navi has way more than 1.
Yeah,
Okay.
He's got more 1.
Yeah.
And
I still think Navi's got it
as well.
Yeah, the Enforcer does it. That's game.
Just order it properly, Navi, please. Why do that?
Toying with your emotion.
Oh, man. All right.
Either way, well played by Navi. Definitely a favorable matchup for him. I think the Mage deck was definitely DDaHyoNi's weakest, so I would have been really surprised to see him get a win with that, no matter what it queued into. But the Rogue. So this is exactly
Navi's
what
favor.
Navi wanted.
Yep. So for those that haven't seen DDaHyoNi's list, it is one of the craziest lists of the expansion so far. Effectively, it runs the new Kingsbane weapon, which he tries to pair with lifesteal as well as some deadly poisons. Keep shuffling that through the deck, and then you kind of mill your opponent with the Cold Lights, using Evasions and Valera as a way to keep yourself alive, combined with that weapon we already talked about. That's the win condition. Now, unfortunately, against a deck which just goes to the dome over and over again, that is the aggro druid nightmare. So, I mean, for DDaHyoNi, this is really difficult. There's no great removal tools early outside of some backstabs, but you don't have AoE or anything else at your disposal until you get to Vanish.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that this Rogue deck does. But this game, I think, is just going to be getting bodied. And that's just, it happens sometimes. When you play a very polarizing deck with polarizing matchups like this Rogue deck, I mean, your good matchups you can't lose, but your bad matchups, you just get rocked. So we'll see if DDaHyoNi can make a miracle happen. If any class is going to do that, it has been Rogue historically. Double backstab's excellent here. He might even just drop this Violet Illusionist instead of coining the Minstrel, but it would be harder to coin the Minstrel down the line if he didn't do it now. It's an interesting position to be in.
I mean, either way, it threatens the board. Gives him additional minions for the future.
I think he's going to do it because it gets you Shiny Finder for next turn, which is probably what you want to do with Hero Power. I don't know. This is tough, man.
I mean, the problem is, like, Oracles are dead for most of this matchup. And then do you want to use the coin for Vanish on 5? And if that's the case, then Illusionist comes down. But
yeah, there's so many dead cards to find with the Minstrel. Yeah, I think the Illusionist is better. It's awkward because next turn is awkward.
And while we have talked about thinning the deck, maybe being a little bit overrated, that is one of the things that comboing Elven Minstrel does now. Like, it gets you to stuff that is useful by taking out the stuff that isn't useful.
Right. I mean, thinning one card, like, off of patches is not a huge deal, but to do it with, like, 2 cards or more is actually very relevant. So, this is a pretty good board here for Navi, recognizing the value of 5 face damage against a deck like this. Not even going to value trade.
Okay, so DDaHyoNi does have some tools at his disposal now with the Vanish coming into hand.
Right.
But still not in a great situation.
I mean, having Prep Vanish is pretty strong. He doesn't quite have the mana to go Cold Light with that combo yet, but...
So a bit of danger for here. Living Mana is actually a game ender for Navi in a lot of ways because DDaHyoNi just vanishing all your crystals back to your hand.
There's no way Navi's going to walk into that, is it? I mean, to be fair, you have to be thinking about preparation Vanish, not just Vanish. But I mean, DDaHyoNi's 1 turn away from vanishing, so Navi's thinking like, okay, well, if I play Living Mana and they live, do I kill my opponent? The answer is no. So he doesn't want to just lose to a normally cast 6 mana Vanish like 2 turns from now. So I think we're going to see him opt for one of the other options. Yeah, I like the Hero Power Blood Sail play quite a bit because it lets him clear DDaHyoNi's minions pretty effectively. I'm a little surprised at that positioning from Navi. I think the Blood Sail to the right of the Taunt minion would have just been better, but that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, if it trades in, yep. So the Illusionist can prevent DDaHyoNi from taking 2 damage, but when you're staring down 9 more on the board, that doesn't really feel too good.
I mean, DDaHyoNi knows that this matchup is bad for him, and he understands that I have to take some risks to actually win. So he's basically saying, look, if you have Savage Roar or anything like that, I'm dead. And I accept that risk. I cannot win the game by Prep Vanishing right now. And he's going to get paid off for that gamble. I mean, this is so much better than the game would have been had he vanished last turn. Now he can actually do something proactive going into turn 6.
So with Navi not having lethal here, do you ever kill the Illusionist? Looks like no, straight to the face for Navi.
Yeah. So Navi would have had 1 more damage here had his positioning been better. We'll see if that ends up mattering later on in the game.
The only thing impacts is like a Savage Roar, right?
Or just, I mean, just hero powering over the course of a couple turns, right? I mean,
I feel like regardless, DDaHyoNi's so far away from a win that just, yeah, you're right, hero power every turn. I'm sure there's 4 more turns in this game.
Well, we'll see what DDaHyoNi can do here. I think for him to win, there's going to have to be like a big Leeching Poison. Does he play a single copy of Leeching Poison? Or
he does. He plays 1 copy. All right, so he's found the second Vanish. That does give him some flexibility.
Yep, DDaHyoNi wants to trade off into the cheapest minions that Navi has because it's going to be easier for Navi to replay those after the Vanish. He could go face for 4 damage, but he realizes, you know, I'm not going to win the game by bursting my opponent down. There's no difference to me if the Druid's at 27 or 23, so good trade by DDaHyoNi. And we'll see if this will be enough to steal a win against Aggro Druid here for him.
So for Navi, it's just a matter of flooding the board again, right? The second Vanish is the only thing he has to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, for Navi here, you're basically doing the math on what is the most power I can put onto the table and what is the least wrecked I can get by another Vanish. So,
do you look to squeeze in the hero power over just playing everything out?
It's definitely tempting because it opens up Savage Roar as a top deck. So I personally would have done it just because I like having a lot of lethal outs for a lot of turns. But Navi's going to go for the AoE buff right now. I wonder what the advantage to buffing them now is. Is there like a Blood Mage Fan of Knives in the deck or something?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there's any OE.
I think it's a pretty big blunder from Navi, honestly. Just the hero powering here would have been much better, just to open up the Savage Roar draws. But this is...
The other thing it does as well is evasion now actually stops Navi from killing him.
Right, yeah. Like, evasion's actually a card that works now.
Yeah, he has to hit Savage Roar for one of his minions to get through it.
Either way, DDaHyoNi has the one line he has, which is vanishing and praying.
My hand is too.
Ooh.
Yeah, Navi getting punished for the Power of the Wild last turn. Now that he's seen 2 vanishes, though, this living mana is safe to play. He's going to take full advantage of that.
The problem is he doesn't have the evasion prevents lethal
Evasion's
still.
going to work.
So Savage Roar would be the way that Navi can get through it, or if
he doesn't have the
DDaHyoNi
mana for Savage Roar. He
Oh,
needs
you're right,
exactly
you're
Mark
right.
of Lotus or Power of the Wild.
and one Mark of Lotus already being burnt, so and one Power of the Wild being played, so that's a 2 out.
Yeah, DDaHyoNi is...
Unless DDaHyoNi plays a minion for him to trade into. But there's no way he will do that knowing that Direwolf Alpha's in the hand. He's put it back there twice or 3 times now, so...
Right, so, I mean, DDaHyoNi's going to play the evasion. He's probably going to play Cold Light, too, right? Like, he might as well.
No, he can't play the Cold Light because then Navi can lethal. Because you trade one of the 2/2s into the Cold Light.
You get empty crystals.
And then you... it doesn't matter because Navi goes up to 2 next turn. And then he plays the Alpha, and one of the minions gets a 3 attack and he kills DDaHyoNi. So he can't play any minions.
Oh, yeah. Direwolf Alpha is...
Yeah, he actually has to just leave it like this for the turn.
Right, yeah.
So while Navi won't get lethal, it's not like DDaHyoNi's done anything valuable with the turn either.
Right. Well, he's gone.
And
well, that was one of Navi's 2 outs. Unlucky for DDaHyoNi. This would have been interesting if he actually got to the Valera next turn. I don't think he could have won, but
Yeah,
still.
no.
Still, you know. But yeah, well played by Navi. I mean, definitely goes to show the value of queuing the right matchups in a format like Conquest.
Doing as soon as he can.
Yep, this is going to be a massive uphill battle here for DDaHyoNi because this is exactly what you...
Navi! You could see him making faces, and that's why. He's hit exactly what he needs.
Yep. DDaHyoNi getting soundly outplayed by Navi's opening hand right here, and we'll see if this is enough to close it out. DDaHyoNi can't exactly pressure the priest deck before the combo's put out, so we'll see if Shifting Scroll can dig him out of this.
Do you know if Shifting Scroll keeps the reduction from Glyph when it transforms into new spells?
I've heard it does, but I base that information off of what Twitch chat has told me, so take that with a grain of salt.
50-50 then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, it does. There you go. That's kind of cool interaction.
Well, seems good.
And he will be able to have the time to wait for it to be a very valuable card at this point in the game. 1 mana off it there.
Yeah, Navi's basically saying, look, this 1 mana 1/3 is not going to be putting in too much work if I play it. I'd rather save it to trigger my combo or draw a card later on. And makes a lot of sense that he's holding on to Northshire Cleric. A lot of people would have just immediately played that turn 1, but you know, it's these little plays players make that give them edges in tournament play that, you know, players on ladder might not have. Whether that's not playing Northshire in turn 1 or just actually drawing the combo and opening hands. Also a strong line. This is actually a little frustrating for DDaHyoNi because he really wants that portal for next turn. But it's going to have to switch into something else.
Another interesting choice in taking the Frozen Clone over the another Primordial Glyph to look for other options. So clearly we're getting into those turns where the Dragon Rizaka's place does start to play stuff of high value, and he's thinking that the clone will start giving him things of high value, and the decision pays off.
Yeah, immediately rewarded. 2 Twilight Drakes, exactly what DDaHyoNi wants to start pressuring his opponent.
Yeah, priests really struggle to deal with those Drakes.
But now he's got a big Drake of his own, and he's going to be able to value trade into that.
So the Meteor here will give DDaHyoNi a clear, unfortunately having to sacrifice his own Drake. Ooh, gonna go to the face
take
instead.
the 50-50 off missiles. DDaHyoNi is not as ambitious as I might have been.
Yeah, I mean, in this matchup where you've already seen Raza, you know you're probably on the back foot.
Wow,
Yeah.
What a cool deck, man. Look at how sweet these cards are.
Yeah. How cool is the Dragon's Fury, like, fire animation?
It's the beauty of Golden Draconet Operative. You get double the value.
Ooh.
You get the card and it's shiny.
So from Navi's perspective here, the Dragoncaller Alana probably never gets buffed that much. I don't think there's not that many spells greater than 5 that the deck runs.
Right.
But the Fury itself has very low value because you're not really ever looking to AoE DaHyoNi's minions.
Yeah.
The Geddon might be used. No, not really.
I'll just take the cheapest card. I mean, right? I mean, if you're gonna... Okay, I mean, that's fine too. That's a solid threat. Interesting. Navi's gonna go face... and DaHyoNi, you can see him tilt his head because he knows the only way Navi makes that attack is if he has the Anduin. So that's definitely got to hurt for DaHyoNi. I mean, we'll see what he does with that read. We'll see if he actually...
Fireball's a good pull here because you can Drake Fireball and then kill off the Raza. You
Well,
at least take board presence back.
I think DaHyoNi's expecting the Anduin, so at the same time, if you leave everything up, you just take so much damage that Navi doesn't even need the combo. This is a brutal spot for DaHyoNi here.
He's going to hold on to the Fireball. Well, it's not going to be a Fireball anymore. Looking for something else with more value.
Right. Yeah, it's going to go back to Navi, who's just going to heal himself up, and now he has to decide, do I want to use my coin now and drop this Anduin?
Is there a way that's like one way is strictly better than the other? Is it always better to get out Anduin a turn earlier by coining?
I mean, I err on the side of just play Anduin, but definitely depends on the game. But yeah, I definitely agree with this. You're up against control, you just want to start
Going for it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this puts a 2-turn clock on from here, right?
Yeah, this is this is the strongest combo in Hearthstone, ladies and gentlemen. The absolute most powerful thing you can do in the game. And it's usually good enough to get there. I mean, Big Mage got a lot of cool tools, got Dragon Collar, got a lot of fun spells he can play, but I mean, at the end of the day, the best combo is still the best combo for a reason.
And I would actually be surprised if we saw Navi play Baron Geddon at all at this point in the game, because you don't want to take extra damage to yourself just in case there is something weird that DaHyoNi can do.
Yeah, look at Navi. He's stretching. He's this is a really good time to just pause for a minute and think about what exactly your winner's ceremony speech will entail. Because you don't really want to get caught off guard once you're in front of the mic. So Navi's really going to savor the moment, take his time here, and see what he can do to get past this. I think the Drake just soaks up way too much damage if you do kill it. So I do expect Navi to just start going face.
Yep. I think the theoretical max damage you could do there off everything and hit the right exact thing was only about 17, so no lethal opportunities there, but
right.
Not surprised.
Is he not playing Power Word Shield here? That's interesting. I guess Navi's saving it in case he draws like Prophet Velen, but I would like just playing it so your minion doesn't die to like a hero power or something.
I think so, especially when he's getting so low. You just want to put as much damage onto him as possible, as soon as possible. So floating a mana means that you lose some potential damage next turn, possibly. At the same time, the Geddon has to be killed. Is there ever a world where DaHyoNi just plays an aggressive Alexstrasza and tries to race, given that he's got Ice Block?
Well, I think it's the world we live in. If there's one thing I've seen from DaHyoNi playing this deck, it's he likes going face. So I think, yeah, you Alexstrasza, you go face. You hope they don't have Shadow Word Death, and then you roll Pyroblast off of your scroll. And just get him. He's off of the more defensive line. He's hoping he can get an extra turnout.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like that, because he would have been able to guarantee that Ice Block draw next turn regardless, giving him 2 turns, so why not do the Alexstrasza now and put more pressure on?
Because then you're left with like Baron Geddon being in play, which lets Navi deal with the 8/8 minion on board. I think that's the thought process, but he's so likely to have an answer with that many cards in hand anyway. I don't know. But yeah, Navi's going to take the 10-mana spell this time. Okay.
Is that just for extra armor in case? Not even sure.
Just for value. He likes the artwork on the 10-mana potion more. It's bigger.
So that's a meteor that it's turned into now. I mean, So if you wanted to play offensive Alexstrasza now, you're getting popped next turn regardless. And if Navi had answers last turn, he's only going to have them plus more answers this turn. I don't know. I feel like offensive Alexstrasza was correct last turn if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, DDaHyoNi might be thinking about like outvaluing Navi and using Alex to heal himself or something like that. I don't know. It's tough to say here.
I mean, he's already got the combo done. How do you outvalue that? It's just
Blizzard. I guess
crazy.
the plan is just... Okay, Anduin's already down. I think the plan is just play Dragon Caller. Call dragons. I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to play Dragon Caller, and then Alex after there's dragons in play.
He's relying now, though, on Navi not being able to pop for the rest of the game.
Well, I mean, once your opponent plays combo, I think you have to be a little on the ambitious side. Some people might be wondering, well, why are you blizzarding, you know, even if you're going to meteor them? I mean, the answer is just you want to buff this Dragon Caller. That's the plan that DDaHyoNi's on right now, and I think it's a reasonable one.
And it's very telegraphed to Navi at this point as well. But he can pop here, so even get a little bit of life.
Yeah, now he's going to play some stuff. He's done this once or twice before. And DDaHyoNi's going to see the bad news, which is that he is getting popped this turn. The one way he could have won this game is if his Ice Block was still intact after this turn, but now there's just no way to play Ice Block and develop Dragon Caller in the same turn, unfortunately. Unless there's a Cabal Lackey he has hidden away in that deck list somewhere.
Yeah, Navi really has all the tools that he could ask for. Despite the fact DDaHyoNi will have the second Ice Block, Navi can just heal up with the, the healing potion, the Spirit Lash. So no way for DDaHyoNi to get a win here. This is just a matter of finishing it out.
Yep, Hoarding Dragon is here with moral support. Watching Raza and Anduin carry the game. This is quite the combo. All right, so we get Leroy. Off Firelands.
Still short.
Is it? Oh, okay, well, yeah. Okay, well...
We're short by 1, right?
Navi's game bugs out, and the Greater Healing Potion gets
11,
discarded.
15, 17. No, it's exactly lethal.
Oh, is it?
Leroy as
Leroy's... Oh, my God, he has an out. It's actually amazing. There's actually like a 1 in 60 chance, or like 1 in 50.
Oh, my God.
I hope he sees it.
I'm sure he must be considering it. Maybe the only thing he's thinking
is... Oh,
like,
yes. Do it for Reddit, DDaHyoNi. Do it for Reddit.
No.
You know the place.
He's mousing over the cards. He's
Do
going
it.
for it.
Do it.
No way.
It's the play.
No way. Oh,
Nah. You know, if that went face, it would have been Leroy.
I don't think that's how the outcomes work. So he is planning then on having board control and defensive Alexstrasza next turn.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you're in DDaHyoNi's seat, you don't know that Navi has a Greater Healing Potion, so he's just, basically trying to win the game in the more likely way. Still a good play from him, even though, us sitting here with perfect information, we know that was the turn. He needed a Leroy. But yeah, Navi's going to play as defensively as he possibly can to just guarantee that he survives this next turn so he can close it out. Alexstrasza is the last defensive tool available for DDaHyoNi, so Navi actually needs to kind of be thinking about Alexstrasza, I think, and try to have as much board presence as possible. It's kind of an interesting board tension, right? Because if he doesn't kill DDaHyoNi's board, DDaHyoNi's going to be able to value trade into his stuff and play Alexstrasza and actually have a pretty menacing board presence. But if he, just spends all of his mana killing DDaHyoNi's minions, then he, again, doesn't have that much of a board for when Alexstrasza gets played. So either way, you're in a great spot here for Navi, but the next couple turns might get a little bit awkward.
All right, so playing out the Hoarding Dragon here.
Yeah, it's an excellent play. You just get good Spirit Lash, get to clear a lot of the board, and definitely the way to go.
Holding on to the Spirit Lash for Lyra, and I guess more hero powers in future turns.
Yeah, maybe more life gain or whatever his goals may be. It's actually kind of cool. The coins you get off of the dragon here might actually matter. Yeah, I mean, now DDaHyoNi gets to Frostbolt a 2-3 or a 1-3. Yeah.
So Navi hasn't used Circle of Healing, and that's why he's worried about the Cleric? Though I thought we saw that go.
Frostbolting his own face would get us to the same result faster, so that is also a strong play.
I do like how he is thinking through those options.
Right. But yeah, I do wonder if it is actually relevant here. I think the 2/3 is the better kill. Yeah. You've already seen Circle of Healing, I believe. So
unless Lyra finds a way to get one.
Yeah.
I mean, you should just take... I mean, odds are that you just want to take most damage off the board. So, Navi here, he does have the Shadowed Death to answer the Alexstrasza. Can he also find a way to get lethal? I don't think so. So he's just going to clear down the... Oh, maybe he does.
Yeah, Navi realizes that there's no way for him to get lethal this turn. So he's going to take the... Actually, is there a way for him to get lethal this turn?
The way he's going, it looks like it is.
I think... No, it actually is enough. It is enough, yeah. All right,
he gets there.
There we go. And, well, actually, hold on. I'm toying with my emotions, Navi. All right. So he's not going to clear the board. He's going to leave the Drake up. And, I mean, yeah, it's over, whether it's this turn or next.
At least Dragon Call Alana gets to come down.
Yep. Get in there, Twilight Drake. 26. 26.
Deal 6 to all minions. The M turn's coming up.
Yeah, Downey knows it's over, and Navi...
Even finding the Velen there.
Yeah, just in case the math was complicated. Navi takes it. He is your Sydney Invitational Champion.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. And the players and spectators here started applauding. They know how much this win means to Navi, and it's really exciting for him to be our Sydney Invitational Champion. That cup looks tiny in his hands.
The cup's actually pretty big. Navi's just 10 feet tall.
Yeah, he's just a massive, massive dude.